Hello. Hello, everyone. I'll be giving a talk about a campaign in Connecticut, USA, that a committee I head, the Middle East Crisis Committee, waged against a university that had ties to a Saudi police and military institution. I hope it will spur some of you to create campaigns on local institutions connected to Saudi tyranny. I'm a retired school teacher and I believe very much in the visual, so I'll illustrate this talk with PowerPoint slides. Just have to find them. Right in front. Our Middle East Crisis Committee formed in Connecticut in 1982 to support Palestinians during the Israeli invasion of Lebanon that year. We've gotten involved in a number of human rights struggles, but have come fairly late to the issues in Saudi Arabia. These are screenshots from our website. In 2016, we picketed Yale Law School twice because it had accepted $10 million from a Saudi billionaire connected to the Saudi government. And we were incensed over the lack of a real justice system within the kingdom and over its war against Yemen. Our group and some others created a website calling for the US to end its alliance with the Saudi regime. And this is the current homepage of that site. In 2017, we learned that a Connecticut university called the University of New Haven was forming a partnership with the Saudi King Fahd Security College, a college that trains all Saudi police and also takes part in military training. The specific college involved was the Institute of Forensic Science of the University of New Haven, UNH. Forensics is the use of science to solve crimes. The institute was named for a forensic scientist, Henry C. Lee, who you see pictured here. He had become famous for testifying in several famous trials. Henry C. Lee was head of this UNH Institute. We wrote a letter of complaint to UNH, but received no answer. So we organized an open letter signed by around 40 US activists, writers, and academics, asking the college to end its agreement with the King Fahd Security College. I should point out that UNH is a private school, so its finances are not transparent to the public, and they can keep people off the campus if they like. We called in this open letter, we called out collaboration with the kingdom that did not respect human rights and that was engaged in a pitiless war against Yemenis. We received no answer from the college, but the student newspaper, the Charger Bulletin, reported on the letter on its front page. I had an article in the liberal magazine, The Nation, in the spring of 2018, but then things dried up. On October 2nd, 2018, Saudi citizen and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi disappeared after going to a Saudi consulate in Turkey. Friends hoped he had merely been detained, but it soon came out that he had been murdered and his body had been cut up and disappeared. The man who was said to have used the bone saw knife was this man, Salah al-Tubaigi, who we learned was a forensic expert. Here are two pictures of Tubaigi. The word forensic had popped up again, so we looked to see if there was any connection between Henry C. Lee and Salah al-Tubaigi. It didn't take long to find out. Al-Tubaigi was on the board of the Saudi Society for Forensic Medicine. Henry C. Lee was on the editorial board of the Journal of the Saudi Society for Forensic Medicine, and so was Salah al-Tubaigi. The red arrows point to both names on these screenshots from October 2018. We issued a press release and there was tremendous interest. Here's an article in the Hartford Courant, the most important Connecticut newspaper. Their reporter was actually able to speak to Henry C. Lee. He said he didn't remember al-Tubaigi, but that he might have bumped into him at some meeting. This is coverage in the New Haven Register and in the national magazine Newsweek. The radio show Counterpoint. The student newspaper at the university once again. The top leftist show in the US, Democracy Now! Al Jazeera. Connecticut, oh, here's another one from Inside Higher Education. This talks about Blumenthal. He's a senator, one of the two senators from Connecticut. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal raised his concerns publicly about this matter, something he had never done before on Saudi Arabia. Despite the name University of New Haven, it's located in a smaller city next to New Haven called West Haven. In January of 2019, we went to the West Haven City Council. A number of us held up signs while several spoke and asked the council to talk to UNH about its Saudi ties. As it turned out, the head of the council was the head of police at UNH. Nothing was done. In an op-ed in the spring of that year in the New Haven paper, we called on Henry C. Lee to resign from the Saudi Forensic Magazine Board and that UNH take some other measure to break with the King Fahd College. However, neither Lee nor UNH reacted publicly, not even when al-Tubaigi was convicted of murder later that year by a Saudi court. In May of 2020, we wrote to UNH again. Their contract with the King Fahd Security College was going to expire in June of 2021. We asked them not to renew it. We never heard from the college, but it appears they did not renew. A reporter from a Washington think tank contacted me and said he was doing a study about the UNH and the Saudis. I gave him all the information I had and he did his own investigation. He was able to contact the faculty member who had been in Saudi Arabia doing work for UNH. And that man told him he was back in the States and that the program was over. Indeed, we were not able to find any information connecting the King Fahd Security College with UNH again. Now, I admit this is not ironclad proof, but crossing our fingers, we are thinking that UNH didn't want to be seen as bowing to pressure, but did quietly end its relationship with the Saudi regime. So we think we have a success here, and we hope this may give you some ideas on tactics for similar campaigns. I have 2 more slides, and I'm going to put some information in the chat. Let me start with the chat. So that's information about contacting me, some of the websites that I've talked about. I'll also put in some other ideas. I don't have time to talk about them, but I'll put in 3 sections of, I have to put it to everybody. I have to change that. I hope you're all able to see this, but it's ideas on issues that you could bring up, that you could connect locally. For instance, the colleges. The Saudis have given tons of money to colleges all across the United States, and I'm sure other countries. And you could find out about that and raise that. Why are they doing this? And what are they getting out of it? And whether this should be stopped. Other things like Lou Jane and the fact she's freed, but is not allowed to leave Saudi Arabia or even talk freely about her imprisonment. And lastly, I'll put in those links again. I wasn't sure I was sending it to everybody a little while ago. Okay, there. So I am done, and I'd be interested in your questions.